very heart of this program is a shared vision inspired by the founders of Jio Institute, Mr. Mukesh Ambani, Ms. Neeta Ambani, as well as Ms. Isha Ambani. A vision dedicated to nurturing exceptional educators who in turn inspire students to make a meaningful difference to the world. We believe that by investing in our educators, we are shaping a generation of future leaders, innovators, and change makers. India's education landscape is vast and complex. There are over 1.5 million schools across the country governed by multiple education boards, including the CBSE, the ICSE, the IB, Cambridge, and various state boards, each with its own curricula and standards. This diversity presents both an opportunity and challenge, especially as we aim to provide quality education to over 250 million students nationwide. In such a dynamic environment, it is crucial to keep pace with global best practices and to enhance student outcomes. That's why this program is designed to equip educational leaders like you with the skills and insights to lead effectively, encourage inclusive cultures, and drive innovation within your schools. So thank you for being here and being a part of this program.
Good morning. It is my great pleasure to welcome you all in this second edition of our Middle Leader Program, a joint initiative between Jio Institute and ECIS, the Education Collaborative for International Schools. We are truly delighted to have you all with us and to witness this growing community of passionate educators and school leaders across India. Your presence here reflects a shared commitment to an evolving as a leader, strengthening your team, and creating a lasting impact within your school. I would also like to give my warm welcome and express gratitude to our friend, philosopher, and guide, Abhimanyu Basuji, who has been pivotal in shaping up this initiative at Jio Institute. I would also like to extend my warm welcome to our friend VP Joy, who is the one who has set up several schools of Reliance Foundation, and he is one of the leading voice in school administration in India. I'd also like to extend my warm welcome to Anjuji. Thank you for being with us. It's a pleasure to have you with us. Anjuji leads the Shiv Nadar Schools, and she has been always supportive to this initiative by nominating several teachers. And now, slowly as our program for the teacher leadership stabilize, we would also like to have more and more leaders like Anjuji to come to this institute and help us to conceive and expand our vision in terms of a teacher leadership development program. I'd also like to extend my warm welcome to Helen and Sarah, both. Thank you very much. They are here now second time. This is their home, and I think they brought a wonderful rain to this city. Thank you very much, and I'm sure you are going to have a very good time with both of them, because they are not only an excellent coach and facilitator, they are wonderful human beings. You know, they are so passionate, they are so human and so connected. I think you will get an entire world-class education coming in your classroom. And that's the great potential of an ECIS. I'd also like to mention this whole journey has started as Isha Ben has initiative. She's the one who has been taking now very active interest in Dhirubhai Ambani International School. She's also driving the Reliance Foundation scholarship program. She's also doing several activities around skill development as well as the teacher education. I think in one fine day, I think it was a night, 11 p.m. or a 2 a.m., I don't recall. So she was in US, and she and Neeta Babi both called and told that we wanted to start a teacher leadership training program. And this is before 2 years. And he said, because this is what we are realizing with the one school of a DAIS, that a great teacher and great leadership can create so much difference. So how do we scale this up eventually at a much larger scale? And that's how the whole journey has started. With 𝘰𝘊𝘐𝘚, we have first developed first teacher leadership program with a PTC, which is called Principal Teaching Center, USA. We conducted the first program. Thereafter, I think we realized that that program was little off in terms of what is Indian need, and that's how he only brought connection with ECIS, and we brought a wonderful program getting started with an ECIS. We did this last program also, and we had a 63 participant for the 5 days program, which happened in June 2024. Today, the second edition of the program, which is going to be again with an 84 participants. And this 84 participant represent 50 schools, 20 cities, one from Dubai, almost 35 of CBSE school, 4 state school, 24 IB school, 7 Cambridge and 14 ICSE. And we also have 66 female and 18 male as a part of the wonderful gender diversity of this program. It's a great pleasure that we have this program happening with all of you together. And I was talking to Sarah and Helen both outside that we would like to continue program in physical mode, because leadership is not only about understanding the concept, it is all about building connection, because everybody face different problem and they should be able to dial to other and find what are the possible solution for it. And I'm sure this program, this 5 days, will not only result in terms of a good leaders coming out of you, but I think a good leadership community coming out of you. That is the larger objective of such program. And as this program is shaping up well, we have also decided to have next program in January 2026, 7th to 10th of January, and the subsequent program on 22nd to 26th June in 2026. So there will be a 2 program, January and June also happening, because we wanted to extend more and more teacher to participate in this. So now we are going to stabilize this, and eventual vision of Isha-Ben and Neeta Bhabhi is to, start conceiving the school of education, where they really wanted to build a larger, spectrum of the program, where teachers, the administrator, the principal, everyone is being developed and developed well. So I am sure with 𝘰𝘊𝘐𝘚 and VP Joy's help, we will also start conceiving the school of education, and eventually this initiative will grow up into a wonderful initiative of very vibrant and thriving school of education that India needs in terms of building a teacher mindset, a leadership mindset, which is a local for the need but the global in outlook. Thank you very much, and thank you Pramod, because the Pramod is the one who is taking up this initiative. He's the one, and his team of Tarun, Julie, and everyone who has made this program possible, approached to the n number of schools and individuals to make sure that we have a right kind of participation in this program and right mindset that with the diversity come together and build the leadership over here. Thank you very much.
Morning everyone.
Good morning.
So the UK guest has brought in UK weather. This is perfect setting to start off the second ECIS Middle Leaders Conference. What Dr. Palak Sheth just said, yes, that call, I was there in LA while we spoke to you, Palak, at that point of time. And then, but I think the seeds were sown earlier when we started how our whole expansion journey in DAIS. And we knew that we are going to go from a school of 1,000 to a school of 2,500, and the number of teachers are going to grow significantly. So obviously we we were very clear, and Mrs. Ambani was very clear that at that point of time that obviously there needs to be something for teacher training. And I think one of the things which really makes schools special are people who teach with passion. And I think that's the differentiator. You can have a great building, but if you do not have great teachers, it doesn't make the institution great. So I think that's basically a point. And if I say that in my total time portfolio, I spend probably about 1/3 of the time for looking at people who are going to inspire children, because that's what makes the difference. Yeah, so I think that's the whole context, and I distinctly remember the conversation that we had at that point of time with Mrs. Ambani and Isha, where we said that, we need to do something, for the whole country, because at that point of time, this was about 4 years back, and I think it was, India had about, I would say 600-700 international schools. Today there are about 1,000 international schools. And all the teacher training programs which currently exist at different level, many people and leaders, colleagues say that not relevant to what is needed in the classroom. So I think our school education system has taken a leap with the changing curriculums which have come in, established in the country, but not necessarily the training has followed. So I think the vision is to establish Jio Institute as one of the leaders of education. As Dr. 𝘴𝘂𝘐𝘚 said, we want to establish a school of education, and it's going to be in the making. And so we took baby steps. We are trying to establish partnerships with various of the international leaders of providing professional development for teachers. And I think one of the steps was to getting ECIS with middle leaders. So let me also acknowledge all of you here on stage. So Mr. Joy has been a partner in crime for the last 20 plus years that we have worked together so closely at DAIS, and he has been also instrumental in leading multiple schools in the Reliance Foundation ecosystem. Sarah and Helen, we have known each other for the last couple of years with our association at ECIS, and Anju, we have been maybe 3-4 years we have been knowing each other. And also I was one of the people who actually went in the final visit of accreditation for 2 of the Shiv Nadar schools. So I have a lot of respect for what Shiv Nadar schools are doing and how they are also expanding currently. As far as I understand, you have 4 schools.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, 4 schools, and with good intent, and and bringing in that how they've moved between CBSE to the international schools and bringing in the IB schools. And I must also thank Cam Chauhan, who is the person behind putting ECIS on the map of being a global leader of providing education, various professional development for teachers. And I think what you see here is only a part of it, but I think what we also intend to do is to develop things which will look at the whole ecosystem. A little bit what Dr. 𝘴𝘂𝘐𝘚 was saying, that we want to now develop something for the teacher leaders, the senior leadership, and also look at developing something for the teachers. So I think we are looking at that, and things where are going to come in. And as Dr. 𝘴𝘂𝘐𝘚 said, and I think as I spoke to Helen and also to Cam, is that we want to establish this to be a twin program during the year. So if there's somebody who wants to go through their middle leader certificate, they can do 2 courses in June and 2 courses in January. It's typically done at a point of time where your schools are sort of not operational. It will be 4 to 5 days, and we will announce these dates at least a year in advance so that people can plan for those. So that is definitely out in the offering before we come up with those other courses. Now, we are all teachers. That's our core competencies. Our core competency is to be in the classroom. But then, this whole middle leader course strikes a chord with me, because I started as a teacher, moved on to a middle leader, and I know that it happens to a lot of people. And so you focus on your students, and now suddenly you have to handle all your colleagues. And you know that the best part of the job is to be in the classroom. Yes. And not something what all of you enjoy is how to handle the nuances of these interpersonal skills which comes along. It's basically handling people, and with handling people comes complexities of how you set up the environment to ensure that everybody is participating in those discussions, and how do you look at every single person's aspirations, how do you look at various aspects which comes in. And I just feel that good teachers are thrown into these roles without being prepared for those. And I think the Middle Leaders course actually identifies the key aspects of what would make you a successful middle leader. And I think that is important. So we had 2 courses last year, and then we have 2 more this year. So the last year's courses, as far as I can understand,
team building
was
team building
and coaching, right? And then this year we are looking at 2 other courses. I can't remember those.
Leadership culture
And
conflict management.
And I think leadership. See, with this whole system of such a large number of international schools coming up, you have teachers moving between schools. And I think when you have teachers moving between schools, there is one thing: a good teacher is a good teacher. But to be successful in a school ecosystem, they need to understand the school culture. If they do not understand the school culture, they will not be a successful teacher in that context. And if you need to lead a team, you need for them to understand that context of what makes the school that you are. And I think the last part, that I think what they're talking about, conflict management, this is actually something that you're never prepared for. And I've said to middle leaders in that I've dealt with and met with all the time, that you need to know how to do hard talking with people. You need to call a spade, and you need to show them the areas of development. Because if you're not doing that, there is no growth for anyone. And I think year on year that I have found things is that when you're talking to somebody and you are actually evaluating what are the growth areas, and then when you check the paperwork in terms of where the appraisal forms and what were the comments made, you are being so sugar-coated in this whole aspect of trying to provide feedback that the context is completely left behind of where the growth areas. And I hope that with these 2 courses, these are 2 very important parts of being a successful middle leader. One, ensuring that your school culture permeates through the people who joins that team. And the second part is to ensure that you need to communicate very clearly on where the teams that you're leading, where they need to grow. There is a word that we use called colleagues. And you need to remember one thing, all of you, that when you sit on a chair, there are no friends. We are all colleagues, and you have a position. If you need to justify that the chair that you sit on, you need to know how to give direction and how to do all of those things. Not in a manner which will upset people, but in a manner which will show them that those are the areas of growth and development. And if all of that can be done successfully, then you would know that how your team grows. It's very important to grow as a team, but there is a fine line between growing and working as a team and being friends. You can't be so friendly with the team that you cannot say what is right and what is wrong. And I hope that with the next week, which is coming up, the next 4 or 5 days, you will have multiple strategies of navigating these areas. There is something which is very important that Dr. Palak said, is that it's, we want to do these things face to face. There is a reason for that. Because it's about connecting with people. You need to have your ecosystem whom you can reach out to when you have a problem. Not always you will find a solution to a problem, and I was talking the other day to Helen, and Helen said that, the last group that they formed, the WhatsApp group of the 64 people, that gets buzzing every day with different types of issues which keeps coming up. And I'm so glad that 11 of you or 10 of you come back here and you'll be finishing the 4 certificates this year to be a ECIS Middle Leader Certificate completion. And I hope that many of you will come back in January or in June next year. So we will provide those flexibilities, and we will also be communicating with all of you so that you know that, okay, these are the 4 courses that I need to do and which are the ones which are important. And I think what is important, what is contextual, those are things that we have done. We also spoke about how we are going to make this contextual. And I think that is a discussion that we have had between the ECIS team and us to say that how are we going to make it contextual for India and for your settings. And that's why you have 2 wonderful people that I know who are going to connect with you, because they're living with you. They will know you more better for these next 4 or 5 days to take this forward. So thank you so much, and I wish you all the best. I hope you get the most out of it and have a wonderful time looking at this beautiful view, from your classrooms. Thank you so much.
Dignitaries on the DAIS, my dear leaders, a very good morning to all of you. Parikshit mentioned about this program, and all those things are all great, but the starting point is to be a good human being. He also mentioned about the importance of connections. Mr. Basu mentioned about the importance of passionate teachers. So I request one of you to come and read what I have to read for all of you. Please, you can come. Slowly and loudly, please.
The power of passion. Being around passionate people is the best way to become passionate. A passion-driven teacher is a model for her students. Teachers must be able to lead in the areas that they are passionate about, whether this be in the classroom or after school. They must demonstrate that they have lives outside of school and that they are well-balanced people. Being transparent with students and building relationships with them beyond the classroom can help drive learning. Students work harder with people who matter to them. This quote is by Dr. Karen Vincent.
Thank you. I think that I bumped into this quote just a few weeks ago when I wanted to give a talk to the teachers of an ICSU school in Mumbai. And I got this from the book, The Power of Inquiry by Kat Murdoch. I am not an expert on inquiry. I bumped into that and I found it very, very exciting, and I'm sure many of you would have read that book. And those who are not, I request you to please read this book and dive deep into that. It's a great book. There are so many great books on power of inquiry and other pedagogical practices, but this is one of the best probably. And her videos, her interviews, her articles are all available, all mostly free and all. Thank you. So I don't know whether I should call you middle leaders, or I should call you senior leaders, or I should call you primary leaders. I'm getting confused. Because I was browsing through your profile. Of course, many of you are familiar faces, some are repeat participants, and many of you are principals, vice principals, MDs, coordinators, HODs, and all kinds of things. And some are, I've seen the word SME, subject matter experts. So I should be doubly careful before I talking to all of you about leadership. Just some time ago, I was lecturing to a colleague of mine about the various attributes and benefits and plus points about all this leadership. So before I could complete, she asked me, "Sir, you are talking only about leadership. We only want this world, only want leaders. What about followers?" I was flabbergasted. I was going on and on about this, the importance and all the great things about leadership. So I think when you talk about leadership, we need to look at it inside out. Leadership is also equally about followership. We follow many things in the world. We follow a faith. We follow a subject. We follow a book. We follow a leader. We follow a role model. We follow a fashion. We follow a trend. We follow many things. So while being leaders, we also have to be equally great, passionate followers. I think that's the first principle of leadership. Now, leadership is, to me, and I'm sure all of them will agree, is about readership. Leadership is about readership. Leadership is about being humble. Leadership is about being open-minded. Leadership is about being flexible. Leadership is about being passionate seeker of knowledge and expertise. We want all our students to be lifelong learners, right? No question asked. You take the guiding statements, vision, mission, motto, and all of your schools. Any school in the world also you'll find we want the foremost thing is we want our children to be lifelong learners, passionate lifelong learners, mindful lifelong learners. But when we ask the question to us, how many of us are passionate lifelong learners? So last year in the program, there is about team building and then coaching, mentoring and all. Coaching is nothing but asking questions. The best coach in the world asks the best questions. You don't have to be a formal certified coach and you are class teachers. You ask questions, your students ask questions. So the starting point for being a coaching, to be a great coach is how you can ask good or bad questions, doesn't matter. Now, leadership is also about the context. Some are primary teachers, some are middle level teachers, some are secondary teachers and all those things. What would be? Now, I am saying all of you are, at least most of the female participants are senior leaders. And leadership is all over. In our school, in our classroom, in our home, in our kitchen. I'll come to kitchen. See, recently when this International Women's Day was celebrated, that day evening, or around that day, I saw one cartoon. One clinic was full of women, unusually. So we don't got very, very puzzled. What happened? Why today so many women are coming to the clinic? They say that some of the overzealous husbands got into the kitchen and they prepared for their wives. So, simple thing. So you are leaders, you are senior leaders, you are in so many ways you are leaders. As you teach, we are a leader. Now when we teach, sometimes, leadership is not black and white. Helen may say it, Sarah may say it, it's black and white, or grey, or whatever. There are so much of nuance about leadership. Today what we learn, it is not what you see from the face. You need to get to the nuances of leadership. leadership is more about practice and less about theory. And when you talk about, now when you are talking about leadership, we are talking in the context of instructional leadership, right? We are talking in the context of schools. We are not talking in the context of any factory shop floor. So it's very, very important that specificity is leadership. I repeat, specificity is leadership. Many times we don't get it right. I come to I look through the pedagogical lenses. We say concept-based learning, inquiry-based learning, personalized learning, differential instruction, PBL, inclusive learning, experience learning, all those things. Now, look at all these through these lenses to be a leader. How I can become a better leader by using this looking through these pedagogical lenses. So very, very important that probably you can skip some of these sessions of Helen and Sarah. Okay, now some of you have missed or couldn't attend the earlier program, the edition 1, which are around team building and the coaching. What I request that ECIS is a gold mine, and previous literature documents are all available. You should refresh it. If you refresh it, that will again make your this 1 week program much more productive, much more productive. To me, leadership is also about research. I keep telling, privately, publicly, unless we become a research-driven nation, we will never ever become a developed nation by 2047. That's our dream. That's our destination. We want to reach there. And research should start from not from university, should start from our schools. So very, very important. That's why NEP is giving so much emphasis on research. I don't know, get into all those things. It's very, very important. Again, Helen, Sarah will take you through the science and art of leadership, conflict management, culture. When I was going through the ECIS brochure, I found some key words: thoughtful doers and change makers. Thoughtful doers and thoughtful change makers. Passionate educators and leaders. I am quoting from the ECIS brochure from the guiding statement from the initial part. Culture of lifelong learning. Promoting diversity, inclusion, and intercultural understanding. So these are all so key, so important, so fundamental in leadership. Now, one word of caution: don't get lost by jargons. We want to live in a jargon-free world. Keep it simple. As they say, when you simplify, you amplify. And who can simplify? Only masters of any concept or any topic can simplify. Others will go around around. That's why you say knowledge is power. Very often we don't know the difference between A and B. How many of us can take a master class on the difference between assessment and evaluation? How many of us can take a master class on the difference between inquiry and enquiry? How many can take a master class on the difference between digital technologies and content technologies? They say content technologies are going to overpower digital technologies in a very big way. How many of us can explain in detail with examples the difference between syllabus and curriculum? So on. There are so many. I think one of the ways to become a leader is to understand the difference between A and B. As simple as that. Now, Mr. Basu often keeps telling about 21st century skills. He's so passionate about that. All of you know that 4 C's. I don't have to repeat that. But he keeps adding now. More C's. The other day he added one C, compassion. He has given a lecture on compassion. Caring. Then what? Again, culture, which they are going to talk. Culture. Curiosity. citizenship, competency. If there is one single word in the entire NEP document, 300, 400 page document, the one word is competency. How many of you know the difference between competency and skills? Please share with others and keep reflecting on that one. So, leadership is being open-minded, being enthusiastic, and be deep-seek. You know the story of DeepSeek, right? All of us know the story of DeepSeek. Dive deep. The DeepSeek in China could flabbergast the tech powers. So we have a lot of power, a lot of potential. All of us have intrinsic, inherent leadership potential. We need to explore that one, consult, connect, collaborate, share, ask, and have some self-doubt also. Sometimes I feel I know everything. No. Sometimes have some self-doubt. That will make you better and better. That will make you great. I have a lot of things to share, and for want of time, I am limiting it, but whenever I get opportunity, I will share. What I am saying is that keep it simple, accessible to us and to anyone in the world. Keep learning, keep progressing, keep growing, keep sharing, and become world class. Thank you. God bless you. Okay, before I forget, sorry, I want to take one more minute. I'm a champion of one pager. The author is my friend, 𝗔𝗍𝘂. He has put together about over 100 pedagogical concepts in summary form, one pager. It's available in India. This is volume 1. Volume 2 just published. It will be available in India by July. Fabulous one. If you can master this 100 plus pedagogical, that the tactics or the concepts, you can become another leader. And I will conclude with reading out the book. Have you ever heard the book, A Wonderland of Worlds? A Wonderland of Worlds by 𝗕𝘀𝘀. I will read from that inside cover page. Words are power. Words are magic. Words are fun. Words are sexy. Words can move you to tears. Words can make you laugh. And words can show you the world and everything in it with clarity and depth as few other things can. In this gloriously entertaining book, one of our greatest wordsmiths, 𝗕𝘀𝘀, takes us on a tour of the words, concepts, and particularities that constitute the sublime wonderland of the English language. So please explore this book as well. It's a great book. Thank you.
This view and that view is great synergy. It looks beautiful from up here. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I think first and foremost, what I would like to say here is that I am truly delighted to be here today. When the invitation came from Dr. Palak, I was on a 4-day break in the mountains, and I gave it a cursory look. I didn't register it, but on Saturday I did, and from mountains to the Arabian Sea, who could ask for more? So I think what really brings me is this warm invitation, the collective energy in this room. It's made flying out on a Sunday completely worth it. And the gathering here promises deep learning and connects that will last well beyond this 1 week that you've put together. As just stated that, the last year's group is continuing to buzz and they're on speed dial because actually the world over, the ecosystem is still it's the same where we all are as teachers and educators. And I read long ago Peter Senge saying that in his Schools That Learn, that the last thing fish talk about is the water they swim in. We take so much the assumptions for granted of our own ecosystem, sometimes we don't pause and reflect and we don't question it. And are they safe places to do that? Well, that group of the last year's WhatsApp and now the 84 WhatsApp is perhaps the safe ecosystem to question about the waters we are all swimming in. I think how in our places that we are dispersed as educators, scattered, coming from 26 schools. Is that right, Dr. Palak? And various parts of the country and the world. Today we are quite aligned like a constellation. And that's what Shiv Nadar School also believes in, that the skies have to be brilliant if all the stars will shine. If only a few gleam, the brilliance won't spread everywhere. So each one of us, there's so much being talked about learning, have to keep learning, professionally developing, and that's the bedrock of our continuous professional development, that year upon year and through the year, it's continuous, and people stay connected. People come for jobs, and there can be other compelling reasons. It could be money, but people stay for culture. And people stay for growth. So we all believe in that. That's how we are a constellation. And one of the key things is, I think, from where we all operate, from the schools that we represent today in this room, and also not in this room today, is that foundational, unwavering place that we operate from is our love for children. If we didn't love children, we'd be doing something else. We just love being around children, around young minds, and that's become the purpose of life. Thank you very much, Dr. Palak. Lovely to meet you, Mr. Joy. And friends, Sarah and Helen, we are overnight friends. We met yesterday and we spent a lot of hours together. So I think I can safely use the word friends. Thank you, Mr. 𝘰𝘔𝘁𝘁. Yes, that's right. He came to our schools, and just before you came, when he was to come and authorize our DP, there was the buzz in the air. He's very strict. You better get your act together. So I said, I like strict people. I like people who are thorough, which means somebody who's endorsing it or even telling us points to be noted is coming from a position of such strength that will only improve us. So I am delighted that you were the one who came. And thank you, Julie. Nothing could have worked out without you. And thank you, Mr. Pramod. Of course, I met Poonam last night. There's nothing that I will share today that you all don't know. That is new. But I would like to just quickly mention a few things. One is unwavering foundational love for children and moving away from the classic traditional schools, which many of us in this room went to, that operated from a place of fear. Just think about it. You don't get the marks, this is going to happen. You're missing a class, I'm telling your parents. There's a PTM, we are freaking out what's coming back home when our parents went for a PTM. I have children, when I went for their PTM, they freaked out. That what is mama going to say when she comes back? My son used to warn me, you're going to hear good things about my sister, you'll not hear such good things. He would just prepare the lay of the land before I went, so the expectations were set. So the idea of operating from love and the idea of having an unwavering belief in learning being timeless, deeply human, and never mechanical. And why I want to underscore this is, and Peter Senge is something I keep going back to, he said in Schools That Learn, he gave a startling correlation between schools and workplaces. He says even a 5-year-old and a 7-year-old, when he starts going to school, he knows, hey, this is where the real performance is. You please the teacher, and you're always working for adult validation. Real sense of accomplishment, he says, in the assembly line of schools comes from adult validation. And that's something we have to always keep in mind. That's why he says, please test your waters, ask yourselves questions, that we never, ever calibrate into that kind of a learning ecosystem. You have to stand in a line, walk in a line, a pass to go to the bathroom, permission to raise your hand. And the teacher will decide your answers. Correlates, he says, to a boss and a subordinate. So he says they are part of the same landscape. And he also then says, he reminds us of the deeper truth that everyone is born with an innate, deep sense, intrinsic to learn. Every one of us is born with it. Nobody teaches a child to walk or talk or run. And you know, this 2-year-old in the house runs the show. He knows he'll cry. Nobody taught him that. This 2 feet nothing has the whole house. Mommy, daddy, grandpa, everyone. Nobody taught. That's intrinsic learning. And then they come to school. So schools support learning, deepen learning, don't get in the way of education. That's the point he's making. His own guru, Edward Deming, also says that somebody used the word sexy words. I was refraining from using that word, but Edward Deming and Edward Hall, one of the famous sociologists in America, said that the biggest drive in human beings, I'm using a polite word, is not to reproduce, but to learn. The drive to learn is stronger than the drive to reproduce. You stand in front of a teenage class and you say that, they'll say, go away, teacher. You're telling us the biggest drive is to learn and not the other, not the 3-letter word, come on. You can start a great 𝗕𝘀𝘂 or a conversation there. So at the Shiv Nadar School, looking at this, keeping that in sharp focus, that everybody wants to learn and to keep it alive, the curiosity, the awe, the wonder. We have our continuous development program based on I am. I, 3 A's, am. I have agency. I have autonomy. I have the power for acquisition. I have agency, autonomy, power for acquisition, leading to mastery. If I continue, we have a young teacher here whose name is 𝗕𝗀𝘂. If I continue with this 𝗕𝗀𝘂, I master. So I am is what we call our continuous development, and I'm delighted to be here. Have a wonderful next 5 days. Thank you very much, all of you, and God bless.
It's wonderful today to be here to see some, dare I say it, old faces and some new faces, and a really warm welcome. I'd also like to start just by offering some thanks. Firstly to the Reliance Foundation, the Ambani family and the 𝗔𝗀 Institute for their partnership and friendship. I'd also like to offer thanks to Shukriya Dr. Palak-ji, Shukriya VP Joy-ji, Shukriya Pramod Jain-ji, Shukriya Abhimanyu Basu-ji, Shukriya Anju-ji, for making us so welcome, but also for kind of getting us started with this partnership. There is nothing that ever happens by accident. And there's a wonderful quote, most of you will have heard of it, from Nelson Mandela about when vision meets action, you can change the world. And for me, leadership in lots of respects is about getting things done. And working with the 𝗔𝗀 team and Abhimanyu has been about getting this whole programme started and getting things done for the benefit of leaders in India, for the benefit of teachers you work with, but ultimately for the benefit of the young people in India, because what we know is if we get leadership and teaching right in schools, then children win. And that's our ultimate goal. Across the next week, you're going to hear a lot from us, so I'm not going to talk too much. But in terms of the programme, I'm going to talk a little bit about the culture of leadership. Sarah, in a moment, will talk about managing and embracing conflict. We're going to be exploring what leadership is and why it matters. Why should, as teachers, as educators, you have a lot to do, so why should we really bother with leadership? What kind of difference can it make? And for me, the role of middle leaders is really important in a school because you're very much the bridge from strategy into what happens in a classroom. You're the people who work with senior leaders, but also with teachers to translate the vision into something that is meaningful for children. And that's hard. That's really hard. But what we're seeking to do across the next week is really think about how can we be the best version of ourselves, and how can we, in terms of culture, create the climate and the conditions for our colleagues, for our children, and for our families to thrive. And ultimately, that starts with all of us in this room, and your ability to drive and influence that, if it's done with intention, is huge. I've been working in schools, it's 2025, I started teaching in 1995. So this is my 30th year in education. And for the last 10, I've been visiting and working with schools all over the world. And people often say, Helen, what's the biggest thing that you've learned? And I think the biggest thing that I've learned is that good and great look like lots and lots of different things. And that the key to that is what everyone has talked about today, it's context. So it's really thinking about how do you take your learning across the next 5 days and make it work in your context. And there are a number of things that I want you to think about. The first one is I want you to think critically as we work through the next week. Sarah and I like to think we're right because teachers do, don't we? Yes? But actually we're not. And one of the things that would be really great is when you think critically and actually challenge some of our thinking. Because if we're going to all learn together, then the learning needs to be reciprocal. And we're really fortunate because next week we have over 80 experts in our room. That's pretty incredible. I think one of the other things to think about, and my kind of very first head teacher had this conversation with me many years ago, and he's still a very good friend and mentor. He often asks me, and he asked me this when I was a young leader, Helen, what kind of leader do you want to be? And that's a big question. But I put that question to you, what kind of leader do you want to be? But also, what kind of leader do you need to be in your context? How do you show up every day for your team and for your students, especially on the days when it's raining, you're tired, and maybe you have a cold? And as a leader for your team and for students, what is it like to be on the other side of you? And they're great questions to reflect upon as we go through the learning across the next week. We've met a number of you yesterday and today. We're really excited about working with you. The one thing I promise you is we start as colleagues, but we'll end as friends. I look forward to working with you, and I'm going to hand to my wonderful colleague, Sarah. Thank you very much.
So the second part of the week, the second course in our week, is about conflict. and we'll be asking ourselves questions about what causes conflict. We have an actual situation now which describes this beautifully. If I speak for longer than another minute, I'm going to have a conflict situation. So we'll prepare for our conflict course by just thinking in terms of, perhaps picking up on what Helen's just said, that we all need to be critical thinkers, and we're all going to prepare for being critical thinkers in order to be able to prepare for our tool set, our mindset, our preparedness to take conflict and not see it as something negative as we move into embracing it, but to see it as a tool for better communication, better conversations, growing as leaders, and all of the above. I'm going to finish by saying there is one person that has made this possible beyond the visions of all of our speakers today, in a very practical way. So when we do become doers and not only thinkers, I don't mean thinkers as in a diminutive way, but beyond the thinking, when we start to put everything into practice, there's nuts and bolts that need to go into place.
Thank you, Helen and Sarah, for that absolutely brief but very delightful overview of what is likely to come. And so thank you, everybody. We now come to the end of the inaugural session. Of course, we're all bosses of our class. Today, let's be on the other side and see how it is to be bossed over. Once again, I thank all our speakers for being here today. We're excited to begin this journey with you, and we hope that this program brings new perspective and deeper understandings and lasting connections.